Is Thursday, August the 27th, 2020. Welcome to another episode of 3inthekey. Today, there's really only one story to talk about today. Yesterday, the remaining players and teams in the NBA bubble decided to boycott at least the games for yesterday and the games for today in protest of what's been happening in Wisconsin, Kenosha, Wisconsin. This was, and this was their way of expressing, of using their platform to try and promote change. So, from the beginning of the NBA bubble season, this was one of the preconditions to go for the players to agree to go into this bubble. Beyond all the financial stuff, they wanted to have the ability to use and they negotiated this with the owners. They wanted to have the ability to use the bubble and the platform they would have to, talk about social issues going on right now, after the George Floyd incident and all the unrest that followed. And that's why we have the court with the Black Lives Matter and the slogans on the jerseys and all that stuff. And this, I guess, is the next step. Now, I was never, I was just a fan. I'm not media. Just a fan who's been watching since I was a child, and now at 40 years old, still watch and enjoy the product. I wasn't too happy with the players' choice to do that, mainly because between the pandemic and the civil unrest, it's mentally draining just as a regular person, right? And you hope that some sports would return just to give people a break, to step away from all the form of escapism. And by the players choosing to take the stance they took, they kind of denied people that, right? And that's their right. That's the whole point of the players' union, to for the players as a group to be able to act as one. And they a lot of them have came up from very difficult backgrounds, and the NBA for many years has a history of community outreach, building courts in underserved areas, running camps, and things of that nature. So I guess this is consistent with that. I guess, what I was happy to see after yesterday was that the Bucks came out and read a statement, that kind of clarified their stance. Because here's the thing, right? The point of the protest is to raise awareness. There was already awareness from when this happened on this past Sunday or Monday till now. There's been nothing but awareness. It's an unavoidable story. So awareness is there. So by you refusing to play, you didn't increase awareness. So what did you do? You said, okay, now we have this platform and we're going to use it to try and promote positive change. Okay, what now? So you've got everyone's eyes, you've got everyone's ears. Now what? Right? And really, that's been my question kind of from the beginning of all of this, all of the appropriate outcry for what happened, because but it's kind of, okay, everyone's listening, everyone has eyes on, so what now? How do we move forward in a positive way to hopefully try and prevent things like this from happening in the future, right? And that's what we are, and that's what everyone's kind of searching for, right? So by you guys choosing not to play, how are you moving us forward in that direction, right? And it was nice to see when the Bucks released the statement, they kind of mentioned that, when we put on the Milwaukee Bucks jersey, we play for not only the owners, we play for the city and the city of Milwaukee and the state of Wisconsin. And we play, and we try and play with certain values that are attributed to that state. And we hope that anyone who who represents that state would act accordingly. Well, that's a good start, kind of setting the framework. And I had heard just from reading some of the articles coming through that they had reached out to state officials and things like that, trying to talk about there needs to be a change. So that's good. They're starting the dialogue, and hopefully, that's the first step to getting some concrete solutions to make sure things like this don't happen. Hopefully to the point where they start to really look into the hiring and training policies of police officers to see if this is really a systemic issue. How do we go forward in improving the processes so that this doesn't happen? These kinds of things don't happen anymore. Right? And then it came out that the players had a pretty contentious meeting last night, and I think they're having one right now as I'm talking, about what to do going forward. Do they just boycott the season? And apparently LeBron James was one of the big the Clippers and the Lakers were the two loudest voices in that camp of just stopping the season right now. And I guess my statement to that is, okay, that's fine. That's a powerful statement. But are you and the other max players in the bubble willing to subsidize kind of the guys who are on minimums and the guys who are on non-guaranteed contracts, your Chris Bouchers and the like, because they have a lot more to lose than you do, right? It's not, throughout the players union, it's not equal who has the most to lose, right? Because the marquee talent in the league, they have endorsement deals and things like that, and they have considerably larger salaries, right? And whereas the fringe guys who are still in the bubble, they really need this financially. So if you're so strongly supporting not playing going forward, you have to be prepared, and you want them, because as a union you guys are acting as one, you have to be prepared to are you going to take care of those guys? If so, I think that's really commendable. And but that definitely, I don't blame some of the guys on the lower end of the pay scale for asking that question, or for being a bit annoyed at the fact that it's the top guys who are willing, who can afford to do this, but not all of us can. So how are you going to take care of us? And the second thing I heard was that there was a lot of kind of displeasure about how the Bucks went about it without communicating to the other teams. You would think everyone's in the same complex. It would have been easier to kind of, send some messaging throughout to all the remaining teams that this was going down, because it does kind of put all the other teams in a bind, right? Once the Bucks did it, really the other teams had no choice. The perception would have, we see even just the NHL, by continuing with the games, you see how bad the publicity they got. Imagine if an NBA team, if one of the other playoff series said, no, we want to play, like OKC Houston, where it's still the series hangs in the balance. They couldn't come out and say where we wanted to play. It would have they would have been looked at as as kind of betraying the NBA. So they were put in a really tough situation. I can see why they're upset that at least it wasn't communicated beforehand, right? And it sounds like maybe they don't really know what they want going forward. They just know they want something to change, right? And the issue with when you take an action like this, you really have to think ahead. You can't really go in haphazardly, like we're going to do it and then figure it out later, because of your credibility as a union kind of hangs in the balance, right? If you do this, okay, you've got everyone's eyes and ears. Now what? And you're kind of got your hands in your pockets. Then you've kind of lost the effect of that action. You've taken this big risk and you haven't capitalized on it. So I really hope they do have a plan to kind of engage in dialogue with city officials, and really, because they do have a large platform, and if that's if they choose to use it to try and move things along in that direction, to try and get some of these changes in place to make sure this doesn't happen again, I think that's great. And I hope that's what we end up seeing. And I hope the players at the top recognize the concern, like understand the concerns of the players at the bottom of the pay scale, because this doesn't affect everyone equally. Okay? I saw a lot of people comparing this to what Bill Russell and the Celtics did in 1961. Yes, they both chose not to play. So it's, in that respect, it is similar. But I think they're coming from very different positions. The NBA players are really coming from a position of power here that, basketball players in the 60s didn't have, right? They were getting paid. I don't even know if they were getting paid a living wage. I had heard back then they were getting paid up to, the best players were getting, $5,000 a year to play in the NBA. That's your Bill Russells. So they were jeopardizing, blackballing they had just started integrating. So, killing that and going back to a segregated league was probably very much on the table. Whereas the players today, the players union runs the league. This is shown in the labor negotiations in the past, and now the players union, it's a players league, and people watch for the players. And so I don't think it's a similar, they are coming from a very strong position here, and I applaud them because I think their intentions are good. They want to see a positive change so that this kind of stuff doesn't happen again, so that, if the same scene had played out with the exact same characteristics, except instead of a black individual, it was a white individual, would it have been the same outcome? I think that's what they and a lot of people want to know, because a lot of people don't believe so. A lot of people believe there's two sets of rule books depending on who you're dealing with, even if all else is equal. And I hope that's what they're fighting to change. And I think this is a big step forward, but I hope they're able to get on the same page and really come up with some productive steps forward, and that this is not a squandered opportunity. Because if the only thing that can come out of this is that we're not playing until something changes, well, what do you want to change? Well, this has to change. This is not how you get a solution. And what you end up doing, you end up killing the credibility of the players union and of the league. So that all this work that you've done in this bubble with your these slogans and on the jerseys and on the courts, and what you're doing in the boycotts, that you totally undercut it. So I do hope they have a plan, and because, again, I do think their intentions are good. Unfortunately, I do think, just personally, I do think there are other groups and organizations that are trying to piggyback off NBA players and lots of individuals who just want equality and are taking this as an opportunity to do some other things, incite some chaos, incite some violence, and that's really unfortunate. And hopefully, through actions like this, they can realize those are not the same things, and maybe they can use their platform to kind of stop some of that action, that counterproductive action. So it's really a crossroads for the Players Association here. You got all eyes on you, and I really hope you guys have a well thought of, clear plan that can be communicated, and where real actions can be taken, so that the goal that kind of all of us are hoping for, that this huge platform that NBA players have, they can put it to good use. So that's kind of my 2 cents on it. And I guess we're going to see how this plays out. And I'm sure there's going to be tweets coming from the results of this players meeting and board of governors meeting that's going on right now. And we'll see what follows. This has been the 3 in the Key podcast. Everyone take care.